The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Roger Clark, and I'm here to spend a few minutes today talking to you about Outlook rules. We're going to take a few minutes and sort of give a once-over on this really sort of underutilized feature of Microsoft Office and show you that you have a lot of flexibility and power at your disposal to manage that daunting mailbox that you guys often have, that inbox just seems really overwhelming at times. Whether you have 100, 300, 500 messages a day, or you just have just dealt with it for so long, you have that little parentheses next to your inbox that says 1,319 unread messages. This is the tool that really can help you get a handle on managing your email. And so we're going to take a look at a couple things today. We're going to take a look at creating a rule for incoming messages. We're going to create a rule for outgoing messages. So you can actually manage your outgoing messages as well. We're going to take a look at manually running rules. And finally, we're going to take a few minutes and talk about organizing rules. So what are rules? Now, what rules are, like I said, Outlook comes with a virtual receptionist built in. And what that means is you literally can go in here and anything that is in your mailbox, all these messages that are in your mailbox, all this stuff, you can go in and have your uh, you can actually have this information do things like anything that comes in from Dropbox. If I want all my Dropbox messages are garbage, I don't need to worry about my Dropbox messages. All that garbage, I can have them automatically deleted. I can have messages that come in from Ted automatically go into a folder named Ted. I can have messages that come in from Sally not only go into a Sally folder, but messages that have a specific words in the subject line, those can automatically be forwarded to somebody else, or automatically replied to, or even set up custom templates and all that stuff. All this stuff can be manual, be handled automatically by rules. It's an incredibly powerful feature. So it's one of those things that people really should take some time to learn how to do. So, like I said, we're going to take a look real quick at dealing with incoming messages, right? How do we deal with incoming messages? So, now, there are a couple of automated ways that you can create rules, but I think it's more important because of the time here, sort of dive into sort of the full-fledged um, rules creator. So it looks a little bit daunting at first, but it's actually very easy to do. You really only need one good way to do things in Windows. There's an average of 4. So this is my personal email here. I get an email all the time from Disney Movie Club is one of the things that I do, and I get all these wonderful emails, but I don't want to deal with all of them on a daily basis. And I have 80, 90 of these things in here, and I want all this stuff from Disney Movie Club, and I want to put them in my own folder here in the inbox. I'm going to create a subfolder called Disney, and I'll move these emails into that folder. Now, from the home ribbon in Microsoft Outlook, we can go to rules here, and I can do something simple like always move messages from Disney Movie Club and whatnot. And yes, this will actually work. If you click on this, you get this little pop-up here, boom, boom, boom. But it's not quite as elegant as I would like. And frankly, instead of going 2 or 3 steps in, let's just do it a little more detailed all at once. So again, from rules, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Manage Rules and Alerts, and we're going to create a new rule. Okay. Now, this rules wizard is pretty straightforward. Again, you have some templates for you here, such as this one, move messages from someone else, and all this other stuff. But I want to start with the blank rule only because I want you to see all of the other options that are available when you create rules. So the way that this window works is it's divided in two parts, right? You have this stay organized part of this, and there's select a template, and then down here, the rule will flesh out as we build it. Okay, so the first part is apply rule after on messages I receive, and then in a few minutes we'll take a look at apply rules on messages I send. So again, I click on this. As you can see, it starts to populate here, and I click on the wonderful next button. And we have a bunch of conditions. Now, I want you to take a second and look at this. This is cool because you can do all sorts of things here, not only from specific people, specific words in the subject line, through a specified account sent only to me, blah, 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 blah. But actually, we're going to do something a little more inclusive here. So I can actually say, for example, I like this here, with specific words in the message header. That's the entire for lack of a better word, metadata, all the stuff that is in a header of an email, the to, the from, and all that stuff that you really don't see. It's sort of behind the scenes stuff. You see it, but you see sort of a filtered version of it. So I'm actually going to choose specific words in the message header. Okay, and so when I select that, it builds my rule here. And notice specific words is actually hyperlinked. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to put in learning how to type works best, Disney Movie Club. And I'm going to choose add. And I hit OK. So if Disney Movie Club is in the message header, then I hit next. What do you want to do what do you want to do with the message? We're going to move it to the specified folder. Now again, the folder here is hyperlinked. Now, if you don't have a folder for these movies, that's okay, because when I click on this, I do have the choice here of choosing new, and I'm going to create this, and I'm just going to call this Disney. And I'm going to hit OK. Note that I made it a subfolder of my inbox. I made sure inbox was selected when I clicked on new. Otherwise, it can get convolutedly buried in your breakdown here. So we're going to click on that. So apply this rule after message with Disney. We move it to the Disney folder. I'm going to hit next. And then it asks me, are there any exceptions? So this is sort of cool, right? So let's say I can have everything go to the Disney folder, except for my feature title. I get these the sort of once a month, hey, this is the one we'll send you automatically if you don't tell us not to kind of vibe. So that's where that option would come in. So that's what the exceptions are all about. Again, you have a whole list of options to choose from. And really quick, let's take a quick look at some of the things you can do with these messages. I did move to the specified folder, but I wanted to show you, this is where this tool really gets powerful. Notice some of the other options here. You can have it delete emails. You can have it permanently delete emails. Those messages from Frank in accounting are annoying, and no one really cares about his fantasy football league. So we can actually permanently delete those messages, and they never even come across our desk. We can move it or copy. You can move a copy of an email so you can have it in multiple places. You have things like forwarding it automatically, replying, where you can define a specific template. Everybody's emailing you about the potluck. You can build a template that says, hey, check the flyer in the bulletin board for 1,000th time. The directions are blah, blah, blah. It's something that you can put into a specific response that is automatically handled by the rule for you. You can even mark the importance. You can print it, play out sounds. There's a lot of stuff you can do here with regard to rules. Again, we don't have time to go through all of them, but that's what we do. Okay, so we have this one. I'm not going to put any exceptions on this at this time. So I'm going to hit next, and then it asks me what I want to do. I want to name the rule. The Disney Movie Club is fine. And I love this about rules. So even if you have a mailbox with 5,000 items already in it, and you're just now getting around to rules, you don't have to worry. It can still come in, go behind you, and run this rule now on messages that are already in your inbox. So it'll go back behind you, take all those 5,000 and organize them for you as necessary. So this is a powerful feature. Don't let it go simply because you haven't done it before. you can actually use this and take advantage of it. So when I click on next, it runs the rule, and 9 or 10 hours later, he says, tongue in cheek, all of my messages from Disney Movie Club should now be moved, theoretically, to the Disney folder, and then 60 items are now in that folder, okay? So that is how you create a rule for messages as they come into your mailbox. Now, in addition to that, I can also create rules for outgoing messages. Okay. Now, it's important that the thing about dealing with outgoing messages rules is you have to use the following step, because if you don't, you won't find it. So again, from the rules and toolbars from the home screen rules, you have to go to manage rules and alerts, just like we did before. And again, you have to create a new rule. Now, why do I say that? Because if I go back to my Outlook here and I just try to go to create a rule, if I create a rule here, notice I don't have an option here for dealing with, this is all from, so this is all incoming email. There's nothing here about dealing with outgoing email. Even if I go into advanced options here, I'm still in an incoming email setup. So we have to, if I want to deal with outgoing rules, we go to manage rules and alerts, and again we go to new rule, so that I get to the options apply rule on messages I send. Okay, so this is the only place where you can actually manage a rule for outgoing messages. This is messages that are coming into your mail. I'm sorry, this is messages you type up and you hit send. Now, the control you have over outgoing messages is not as extensive as the options you have from incoming messages. Why? Mainly because those messages are by default being managed by the mail server, your Exchange server, and you have an IT admin who has rules on that stuff. And these are typically what we call server-side rules versus client-side rules. What that means is, in a nutshell, is by having Microsoft Outlook on your computer, these are client rules, meaning that when Outlook is open, the local computer running the client Outlook is managing all the email for your local copy of your email profile. Okay, what that also means is if you're on a business trip and you open up the web version of Outlook on your laptop and you're not in front of the same computer, these rules might not run. But when you get back to your office on Monday and you log into your computer at your desk, the receptionist will kick on, and the Outlook will kick on when you open up Outlook, and all that messages downloads onto your local computer. Then the virtual receptionist, the Outlook rules, all run, take your messages, and move them to your folders. Right? That's the client talking. That is Outlook actually running on that computer, as opposed to a web version, which is managed by the mail server. I don't know how much control you have on rules on the website. That again is something that your IT administrator will have some control over. So again, with rules and messages I send, you don't have quite as much control, but you can follow the same idea. Apply these rules after I send the message. And notice, for example, so it's the same idea. It would be the same thing. So I could say from a specific person. So for the purposes of this discussion, these are messages being sent to. So let's say anytime I send a message to HR, or for my purposes, I'm going to choose my friend Andrea here. So anytime I get a message from this person, or I'm sorry, I keep getting it turned around. Anytime I send a message to this person, what do I want to do? Again, now notice I can't move the message from, because all items that you send out go into your sent items folder. I can't move it, but I can create a copy of the message and move a copy to a specified folder. And again, notice there's much fewer options here. And then the rest of the creating the rule is the same, right? So we would move to a specified folder. And for the sake of discussion, I'll just choose a folder here. We go to next, the same list of exceptions. I'm sending out these messages. Are there any exceptions? And then finally, I would name it, turn it on, and run it. And I'm not going to actually walk through all of that at this time. But again, so the main takeaway here for creating again Outlook for outgoing messages is when you get into rules and alerts, you have to go to new rule to get to this screen here where I can choose apply rule on messages I send. Okay. Manually running rules. Okay. Now again, this is important when you get a chance. You come back in the office. If you come in and you know you have a mailbox that's just overrun, and you're not going to have time to run them now. By default, remember Outlook rules, it is automatic. So once you create these rules and you turn them on, they're running by default. But if you know, for example, that you ran, let's say you work off your laptop and the rules ran, but you were offline, and so it didn't go in, it didn't move all your mail into your folders. You can go in behind the fact and tell it, oh crap, it's now, once again, I have all these messages in my inbox. They need to be sorted out. Okay, I can go into my rules options, and again, I go to manage rules and alerts, and you can simply choose run rules now. A list of all your rules will be listed here. And I like this because you can actually select the rule you want to run, and then you can tell it in which folder you want to run it. So you can actually go in and say, you know what, I want to double check and make sure I didn't miss it. Let's say you in the past moved a bunch of mail into other folders. You're now creating new rules or you're reorganizing. You can actually run rules and include subfolders. So it can actually go in and search all of your subfolders for you. You would click on browse and you tell it which folder you want to run, which rules you would want to run against, etc. Okay, and then you would hit the run now option. It would go behind you, run your receptionist, and move all of your emails. Again, do whatever you need to do with all of your emails for you behind the fact. Let's say, or even something like, hey, you know what, the project's done, and all of these old messages with regard to that project, I'm going to archive them. Or let's say that your email administrator has already backed up the email server, and you want to clear these out of your inbox. You can actually create these, create deletion rules that go in, and then run it behind the fact and remove all this old stuff and have it archived for you appropriately. So you have the ability to run the rules. It doesn't have to be live on incoming messages now, and it definitely doesn't be something that happens immediately. It's something you can do after the fact. So it's a very powerful feature. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here, and again, I'm not going to save this rule because I'm going to run them now, is I want to talk briefly about the idea of organizing rules. Now, why do we need to worry about organizing these rules? What is the purpose behind doing that? Okay, so let's take a look at a scenario here. Now, I only have one rule, but for the purposes of discussion, let me create a new rule real quick here. And I'm going to create a rule that basically says any message that come in again from, again, I'll choose my friend Andrea here. I have messages that come in from Andrea, and I move them to the specified folder, and I'm going to create that. You know what? I'll create a folder for Andrea real quick. Oops. New, yeah, Andrea. Okay. And I'm not worried about any exceptions here. And I'm going to turn the rule on, but I'm not going to run it. And I'll call my rule Andrea here. And I hit finish. Okay, so now I have rules. So now let's expand this concept. I have rules that moves all the email from Andrea into an Andrea folder, and I have all the rules with regard to the Disney Movie Club that go into the Movie Club folder. So what if Andrea actually is my contact at Disney, and I have messages coming in from her regarding the Movie Club? Okay, so in a more real world environment, let's say you get messages from Steve who go into the Steve folder, and you have messages from HR that go into the HR folder. Well, what if you get messages from Steve regarding the HR issues? So where do those messages go? Do you want it to do both? Because right now, as things stand, any messages that come in from Andrea regarding Disney Movie Club, I will tell you, it will actually put a copy. It'll move this thing twice and put a copy in both folders. Or in this case, it more than likely might just move end up with the ladder of the to Disney Movie Club, because note it actually says that the rules are applied in the order shown. So it would first apply this one, but then since it's in the inbox, it will probably stay in here. If not, it might then run it again on this one and put a copy in there as well, or move it there. And you really, and I'm being honest here, I'm not exactly sure if it's going to put in both or where it's going to end up. That is the truth. A lot of times will end up in one or the other, but it gives me a chance to control to handle both. So what do we do here? How do we organize our rules? Now, first off, notice that I have the option here of moving rules up and down in the folder. Okay, in this list here. Now, so you can control it and you can have it say which rule takes more importance, because it actually says specifically rules are applied in the order shown. So you might have to come in after the fact if you've created all these rules and then you need to put in the exceptions. You might want to put those exceptions that happen, you might want to put them at the very top of the list. And the last thing that you probably want to do, and this is where this is a cool Roger trick for you here. So let's say that I don't want to deal with that. Anything that comes in from Andrea moves to the Andrea folder. I don't care about her concept with regard to the movie club, even though there's a bunch of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify this rule a little bit. So I'm going to go to change rule for Andrea, and we're going to edit the rule settings. Okay? The conditions are the same, but what do I want to do with the message is what I'm changing here. Notice near the bottom of this list of options, I have an option here that says stop processing more rules. Very, very powerful feature here when it comes to rules. This actually allows me to move it to the Andrea folder and stop processing more rules. Okay? So when that happens, now it processes this rule, it doesn't do anything else, and when I hit OK, boom, now I know that anything comes in is going to stop at that point. So that's how you can organize these rules and do the most with regard to that. Okay, so that sort of brings me to the end of my presentation here. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, this presentation is going to be inside your company's intranet, where you can go in and record watch it after the fact, to play it back if you want. If you are interested in this or other topics that I'll be teaching, I'll be doing these about once a month. Please keep an eye on the company's intranet and sign up for the additional Tech Talks. If you have topics that you want me to tackle, please reach out with suggestions. We will definitely take those into consideration, and if we get the interest for them, I can create Tech Talks on certain other things as well. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this presentation. And again, I thank you for your time. You guys have a nice day, and whatever you do, don't work too hard, all right?